Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast with Alexandra Watkins. She's the author of Hello, My Name is Awesome, How to Create Brand Names That Stick. And she's also the founder and CIO at Eat My Words. We're going to talk about branding mostly today. We're going to talk about creativity, marketing, naming, which is one of my favorite topics. I am a serial and addicted domain name buyer. I think it's much important. And also innovation, we're going to touch upon today. This podcast is brought to you by podbuyer.com. That is my podcasting agency. If you want to start scale, be invited to a podcast like this one. Talk to amazing folks like Alexandra, learn from them, network with them, and who knows, even generate clients or partnership with them. Podbuyer.com for that. Alexandra, welcome to the pod. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and about Eat My Words?
Sure. And thank you for having me, Charles. So, yes, I am the founder of a naming firm called Eat My Words. And we started out naming things that make people fat and drunk, thus the name. My claim to fame is that I named the Wendy's Baconator. And we work with all kinds of companies, products, services, we name everything from robots to racehorses. And yeah, I love what I do.
I talked to a naming guy last year and I really loved his business. I think he named the Xbox and a bunch of other tools, especially at Microsoft. So I found that pretty cool. The Baconator is a huge claim to fame because everyone remembers that. They did a bunch of ads and it's so rememberable, you know. I think it's the only burger I can name at Wendy's. And yeah, thank you, because I'm gonna probably order a burger after that is done. So how did you came about in the naming business? What got you started in there? Because it's pretty odd niche.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't know that naming was a profession. So for the longest time, I was an advertising copywriter. And every once in a while, I would get thrown a bone and get to name something. But I didn't know that naming was a profession. I just thought, like, oh, I get to do this once in a while. It's really fun and I'm good at it. But when I discovered that naming was like a career I could have, I completely switched gears and I left advertising, got into branding, and started kind of talking my way into working at different branding firms and naming firms as a namer. So yeah, that's the story.
And what's the first big client that you landed, and how did you landed that client?
I got the Gap as a client. So I knew someone that worked for the Gap. I had done some naming work for a neighbor of hers who had a nail salon, and I was naming all these really fun products. Like one of my favorites was a nail hardener, and I named it Harder Faster. So I'm really good at the double entendre names. And so her neighbor, Jenny, worked for the Gap and said, hey, we need someone to come in and name all these beauty products, do names and taglines. So I got a 6-week freelance stint at the Gap when I was living in San Francisco. And it was awesome. And I loved it. And I'm like, this is what I was born to do.
What about Eat My Words? Why did you name your business that way?
Well, I had looked through my portfolio when I was a copywriter and realized I had written a lot of copy for food companies. So that's when I thought Eat My Words would be a good name. It just came to me. I didn't like spend any time trying to think of it. It just popped in my head and I was like, "Oh, that's a great name." So I had I was lucky. And then like I said, I started naming things that make people fat and drunk, and the name just fit. So yeah, but then I expanded and started naming. I was doing a lot of freelance work for Landor, and my mentor there said, "Look, if you can name potato chips, you can name microchips." So that gave me a lot of confidence to now name everything. But we don't do drugs at Eat My Words. At least not any pharmaceuticals.
Of course, you do
We have named a
caffeine.
lot of cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis can be cool. Anything with the munchies, I guess, or relaxing and feeling and flow. Or yeah, it's interesting. How do you come about with these businesses name? You sit down with the owner, you have them fill a document, you feed that data to your brain, and then you brainstorm with the client and throw out ideas and simmer on these. Is that part of your process?
Oh, I love that word simmer. That would make a great name for some kind of creative agency. I know
I'm
you're
gonna
going to
buy
buy
the
the
domain.
domain name. I know you're going to look up the domain name as soon as we're done with this podcast. I know you.
You do actually. You're good.
Yeah, what I do is I have people complete a creative brief. So that's where they give us all the background on the company, whatever it is that we're naming. And then give me some, I always ask, like, are there any words that you might like in your name? Are there any themes you want us to explore? So I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm naming a wine and it has an Americana theme. And one of the directions the client wanted us to explore was Top Gun. And normally, like in the old days, I would like read about, I've seen the movie, both movies, but, I'd have to like go on the, go to Google and like look up things. But I'm like, I'm just going to put it into ChatGPT. So I said, give me 100 words. I didn't ask for names. I just said, give me 100 names, 100 words associated with the movie Top Gun. And it gave me all these words, and not all of them were good names. There's some, like I love the name Tomcat. That could be really fun. So some obviously not appropriate. Um, Goose doesn't make a lot of a lot of sense, but like Squadron is a cool name. So sometimes lately I've been using ChatGPT just to kick off my brainstorming, but then I'll look for words to pair with it. So yeah, I'm just always going down different rabbit holes, and ChatGPT, it's not really great at names yet, but it's really good at taglines.
Yeah, I love using ChatGPT as a sparring partner because the process I describe is my process when it comes to cold emailing folks. So my science is the shortest amount of words that will have the greatest impact upon someone reading these in their mailbox, so I need to very carefully choose the words that I send. And yeah, like it's a mix of my brain, the client's brain, and GPT. We both use GPT to feed ideas, to get more inspiration, especially when low energy. What about your name? Do you think your parents named you right? And what about my parents? Did they choose the right name?
Yes. Well, yes, I love my name, Alexandra. And I was one of the originals. It wasn't popular when I was a kid. But yeah, Charles, you have nice alliteration in your name, but I bet people pronounce your last name wrong and butcher the spelling.
Yes, indeed. Cormier, Cormier. Cormier is the right way, by the way. In French, it's Cormier. Yeah, somewhat of a French name. So should I change that and make my dad cry?
No, don't make your dad cry. Don't make your dad cry. Have you ever done an anagram of your name, like taken all the letters and put them in a blender and see what they spell?
I did, and the other way, I mean, there's nice variations of my name, like Chromier is funny. It's in French, people used to call me corn, like corn, like the corn, corn the storm. So then that was somewhat reflective of my personality. Um, and if you reverse it around, it's like Raymier or something like that. So, but
Huh.
no, I haven't done that. Blend the words. I
Oh,
could ask GPT actually to do that.
oh, okay. There's also a website called the Internet Anagram Server that's really fun to use. So I have played around with, that's one of my hobbies is like anagramming people's names. And Alexandra Watkins, if you take all the words and all the letters and put them in a blender, it also spells an award in sex talk and drink a sealant wax. But I'm lucky I have a lot of good like consonants and vowels in my name.
So GPT is providing some examples of my name here. Crime. My so like I said, I told it to use like letters and Cormier to make words.
Uh-uh.
Rhyme, rice, corm. Corm, what is corm? Underground stem of a plant that stores food. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, I know.
interesting. What about these domains? And yeah, I have them here. Let's explore each of them. And
Okay.
the one that we just came on, sinner simmer. That's funny. What do you think of that? Sinner or simmer? It's like you either it's a sin if you come up with that idea or you let it simmer. Um, and it's available. What do you think of that one?
Wow. Hi. Okay, wait. Smart enough. Wait, do you want me to say these out loud? Oh, you're going to buy them all before anybody hears me
No,
say
I'm
them.
not. There's some really silly ones like Napoleon Bonaparte, Genghis Bangs, whatever that means. It's not in the sexual sense. Just like ideas that I had. That one I'm gonna buy. PDG is like CEO in French, so PDG pod. It's quite rememberable. Yeah, what do you think of some of these?
Peak. So
Peak
peak.
accomplishment, peak accomplishment. That is
Yeah, I
fun.
think that so my rule of thumb for a name like a coin name like peak accomplishment, it feels too forced to me for
Hmm.
a made up word. I feel like it needs to sound like a real word, like it would appear in the like I made up one yesterday, or like I named I have it right here. It's a beer growler, and I don't
Beer
know.
growler?
Yeah, it's a. Can you still see me?
Yeah, yeah, Chuggernaut.
Yeah, chug or not.
That's
So
that's
it's a
great.
beer. Yeah, so you chug beer. So it's like chug plus juggernaut. So when
That's
you say
great.
chug, thank you. People know how to spell it when they hear it.
Yeah, but
Um,
the .com's not available.
yeah, but I don't care. I don't that part. So the .com thing, my feeling with .coms is not everyone needs to own an exact match .com name. And it's okay to add a modifier word, especially if you're not a pure online business. But no one expects anyone to own the .com anymore. I
Hmm.
think people are, and also a lot of people now are using these top level domain names, the TLDs, which is surprising to me how many different ones people are using.
But it's really OG, it's like your pink Corvette behind you. And it's like the Baconator. It's like it's real OG. It's like instant respect because first you have a .com and second it's pricey to get the .com. So we I've seen folks in my industry like Sam Ovens by consulting.com or Alex Ormozzi buying acquisitions.com. I think it's such a stunt that it's almost instant ROI in terms of branding.
Yeah, they're so prohibitively expensive now. And yeah, we actually stopped naming technology companies because they all want the exact match domain name and it's just too hard to get them.
Yeah. Well, that could be a cool business right there to negotiate that and to, yeah, I, if it's 100K, I'll take 15%. But then, what's my incentive to lower the price, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, tricky one. What about Podfo, Podpular,
Oh,
Podulart?
popular is kind of cute, but it's too forced. So what I
Hmm.
would do with pot, so what I would do with pot, if you're trying to make up names, I would go to a rhyming dictionary and look up words that rhyme with pod. So you got mod, right? So like mod squad. So I would like do pod squad. It's probably already taken.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, Pod Squad is taken. Nod. Yeah, Pod Nod is fun. Pod
like
what?
cod, like Cape Cod. You could do Cape Pod, would be
Yeah.
really good. Oh
You,
God. Oh my God. Haha. Oh
Pod
my
God.
God.
Yeah,
So then what I would do here
oh,
is I
that's
would
good.
say to ChatGPT, give me a bunch of short phrases with the word God in it.
I don't think, yeah, that was too good to be
Too
true. Oh my
good. Yeah.
God.
Oh my pod. Yeah. Yeah. Anything with God, but there's so many different phrases with the word God in it that, yeah.
If I'm this new business, and I'm thinking to name my business something. When should I go see a consultant? Because my advice to younger folks when they start a business to be lean as possible. Don't even check the legal, just start something, because you need so much velocity and early momentum. And a lot of folks, they have paralysis through analysis. So what kind of company do you serve, and who do you recommend to hire a consultant, a naming consultant like you?
Well, I think that at the very least, run your names by a professional namer. I only charge $500 to review name. You can send me 40 names. They can be generated by AI. You can have them human generated, and I'll review them for you. I'll let you know which ones are the strongest, which ones have pitfalls that you might not see that you should avoid. And then if none of them are really that viable, I could give you a couple tips, and then you could also apply that to work with me. But yeah, I think a lot of people just get stuck, or they just think there's no more names available, especially if they're starting by looking for domain names. It can be really, really frustrating. So, and then people just don't, I've been doing this 20 years. My brain just, it just geared for coming up with names. I do this every single day.
You also started your career at Ogilvy. What kind of impact did that had on you?
Oh, it was great to work for a huge global advertising agency when I was really young. It was just a great way to start my career, work on huge accounts like American Express and Microsoft, and really learn from some really top people. And then, it gave me just a great training ground for when I went out on my own.
What do people think of a nail salon name hand job?
What do they think of it? Well, it's been around, I think, over 15 years now. They have 2 locations. So yeah, Handjob sells a lot of merchandise. It's people love that name. And it's in the right neighborhood. It's in San Francisco, in the most historic gay neighborhood. It's right down the street from where Harvey Milk had his camera shop. And yeah, it makes people smile.
Because it's interesting to dive in the psychology, right? I think women will find it funny. I don't even think they'll look at the sexual aspect of it. They'll just straight up go for the laugh, while men will see it as a sexual thing. So, what kind of effects that has on the marketing, making men horny and women laugh? Does that translate into dollars?
Yeah, no, they're very popular. Yeah, people go there just to say that they went there. Yeah, no, because I used to go there when I lived in San Francisco, and I would meet all the people that would come in, and they would just say how much they love the name.
How do you calculate the ROI behind the name?
You can't. I think the only way you can calculate ROI behind a name is if the only thing that changes is the name. So, for instance, if you had a menu, and on the menu you had 2 different menus in the restaurant, and one of the menus had chicken soup and the other menu had grandma's chicken soup, you could then measure which of the chicken soups was ordered more. I know it would be grandma's chicken soup because grandma makes a really strong emotional connection. It brings up all of these warm, loving feelings. It feels like it's homemade, and all that is a name change. So we had a client where they had a bunch of wedding services, and they had really boring names like rehearsal dinner, post wedding bar rental, wedding brunch. So we came in, and they were listed in a notebook that the bride and groom could go through. These were at a super hip hotel. So we came in and we renamed them. So the post reception bar rental, it became last call for alcohol. The wedding brunch it was the post wedding brunch that became Bloody Married. And yeah, they were all really fun like that. And after we changed names, we only did 5, their sales went up by 25, and they could measure that because all it was names in a binder.
Because look, I think sex and controversy sells. Does that repel some of potential clients to you, some more conservative folks?
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, look, if you come to our website and see the name hand job and that's not your thing, I don't want
Screw
to work
me.
with you. I just don't. And that's what happens. We've done this for people where we've given them kind of a more hip, cool name. And what happens is they start attracting the type of clients that they really want to work with.
I get the feeling because I do cold email outreach, and some folks, they're just scared to send outreach at scale. They're like, yeah, it's going to damage my reputation. But the truth is, most humans don't ever remember you. They have the attention span of a dog, which has 0.001% remember you. And the goal is to catch a fish that is right for you, right? Someone that fits you. It's not to please everyone. It's to go after your ICP. So I'm pretty sure that when you have a new client, you dive deep in this ICP, their psychology, the reaction that they'll have when they see that name. Is two syllables important as well? We've seen that YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tesla. Is that important?
I don't think it's important. I mean, yeah, there's a ton of 2 syllable words out there. The compound words like YouTube or Facebook, those are really popular, especially in technology. But for us, we don't think in syllables or even letters, we think in concepts. So yeah, it's different because I'm not a linguist, and I think most namers are linguists, and so that's the way their brain is wired, and that's how they've been trained. But because I came through from advertising, where everything I was doing as a copywriter was trying to make that emotional connection with a headline, that's what our names do too. So when I'm naming a GPS for dogs and I come up with retriever, that's a conceptual name. Right. I'm not, it doesn't matter how many syllables it is. It matters how memorable it is.
Memorable, I think, is the keyword here. I'm guessing you do a bit of market research to say if people say rad in New York as much as they say rad in SF. And then if that word is popular, then you might give it the green light. Or if the use of that word is growing, which is hard to predict, then you can also have the green light on that one and go with that specific word. How much market research do you do, and do you use AI tools to help you with that nowadays?
We don't do any market research. We just go with our gut and just what we've known doing this almost 20 years. But what we do know for sure is that if you focus group names, for instance, what happens is when you're asking people what they think of a name, suddenly they become experts at names. And when you ask someone, what do you think of this name? That's not what they hear. What they hear is, what don't you like about this name? And when you ask someone's opinion, it's an invitation to criticize. And look, Apple never test a name. They just launch a product. So, we just go with our gut, what we know. We have a 12-point name evaluation test that we screen all of our names through. That, it's called the Smile and Scratch test. Smile is an acronym for the 5 qualities that make a name awesome. Scratch is an acronym for the 7 deadly deal breakers. If it makes you scratch your head, scratch it off the list. And we make sure none of our names have any deal breakers and that they all make people smile.
So how should I name my child?
Oh my gosh, do not name your child. Okay, don't name your child anything that rhymes with something. It's possible. It's possible. Alexandra doesn't rhyme with anything. Alex doesn't rhyme with anything. Because like my sister's name was Vicky, and like icky, sticky, like I just know, don't rhyme, don't like, and go with something like you have nice alliteration in your name with the double C's. I think that's nice if you can do that. It's always good to have, I like names that start with A at the beginning of the alphabet, but there's so many tools now. You can look, baby, girl names that start with A and end with A. You know, that you can there's so many. Nameberry is also a great site for looking at baby names. And here's a tip: sometimes when I'm naming things, I'll go on a baby named directory, just because it's good for coming up with interesting ideas, especially if we're trying to personify something with a name. By the way, ChatGPT, I think, is a terrible name. I think one of the reasons that not everyone has been quick to adopt ChatGPT is the name is weird. It's not horrible. It's just weird. It doesn't, like GPT, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. No one can remember it. People butcher it. GPT, I hear all the time. I asked ChatGPT,
GTP.
how can people remember GPT? And ChatGPT gave me a bunch of answers. And one was giant pandas typing, which I love. It's easy to remember. But I would have named ChatGPT something that's human because it feels like a human. And the name I came up with is Otto, OTTO, because it feels like a dude, like a cool guy, Otto. And it's also automatic. So it's just kind of fun that way. Bard, I hate. Like Bard
Yeah,
is like
Bart
so
is
stuffy and cold and old fashioned, and like
stinks.
nothing, there's nothing modern about the name Bard. It
Yeah.
sounds like it's from Shakespeare. It probably is. I think it is.
Yeah, and I think it's reflective of the quality of their product. What do you think about Elon's new AI called Gork? Actually, Grok.
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 Yeah. Grok. I think, does it stand for something? I saw it
It's a
yesterday.
Star Trek. Apparently, it's a Star Trek dude that knows everything or whatever. Oh no, it's a Star Trek AI that knows everything.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's okay. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's not super friendly, but maybe for him. I mean, I love the name Tesla. I think, but he didn't name Tesla. He came into Tesla later.
And I think Grok's pretty bad or X.
Hate the name X. I just yesterday, I've been on it lately because I'm following a trial and it's like the most up to date information. But when I see the X, no matter where I see it, our automatic inclination is to X something out to close it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think the rebrand was good, but yeah, Twitter didn't sound like Elon at all. By the way, I'm gonna name my children Six.
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 That's okay. Six, and why six and not seven or five?
Because there's two syllable and doesn't sound that cool. Five sounds like too woke, and six is like cool.
Six is too close to sex.
Yeah, it is, but yeah, right. I think children's will pick up on that one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. This poor little girl, her name is, hold on, I'm just making sure Alexa's unplugged. Her name is Alexa, and she just got teased so much in school that she had to change her name.
Shit. Yeah, because of like Alexa, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
People were
Alexa.
bossing her around.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be another one. Yeah, another challenge. Where can people find out more about you, Alexandra?
At eatmywords.com, you can test your name for free on our website. Just click on test a name. I'm also on LinkedIn at Alexandra Watkins.